Good morning. Um, Here we are on Saturday. uh, so I was thinking about what I'm going to do. I might have class on. I'll definitely have class going up to Christmas. I may have it on Christmas too. I gotta think, but and I'll let you know further on. But maybe so. Um, I don't believe anyone's going to be up. So normally we have like a Christmas breakfast. Um, Good morning. I don't know, Dave. Do you think I should do class on Christmas or not? So we usually have a big Christmas breakfast, and my brother and his family come, um, but that's not going to happen this year. So, and of course, as the kids have gotten older, it gets later and later, right? So it used to be very early, but as now everyone is later rising, it gets later anyway. Uh, so it's going to be more like lunch, I think, at this point. Um, but we'll see. So I'll let you know about that. But yeah, we'll just keep on our regular schedule, and that'll be fine. Um, so let's see, if Christmas is Friday, that maybe means New Year's then too. I don't really know. I don't know. Yeah, we're probably just going to keep up regular schedule because, yeah, I'm here, so might as well be practicing. So let's talk a little more about this idea of seasonal practice. Oh, yeah. Well, I'm gonna poll the troops and see if everyone actually thinks they're going to get up, or if everybody would be content to sleep in. I think they probably would, but who knows? Um, Although I don't know. Now that I think about it, Jack's on the night shift. He might be up early. So seasonally speaking, we're heading into official winter. Um, so just as everything outdoors is taking sort of a pause, it's not a bad time for us too as well, right? The the poor trees and plants and everything thought it was time to grow again, and there's a lot of things growing around that are pretty pretty crisped up now that it's gotten super cold. Um, of course, my porch project is on hiatus, although it's pretty much done. But even the little bits, I think we're done. Um, so everything takes a little break in the winter, except us. Right? We just keep going and working at our normal um, jobs, and everything is pretty much the same. So um, let's think about that, right? If it's good for the earth and good for the plants and the animals, it's probably not a bad idea for us to follow as well. Um, we probably can't give up everything, right? We still have to keep going, but what could you give up? What could you um, put on break until warmer weather, more light, more heat? Um, I think being a little more aware of our environment and how that affects us physically and mentally is a really good thing. And just as we are sort of living with the seasons, we can uh, thrive a little bit more, right? We're working with the flow of the universe instead of against it. And we talk about seasonal eating, right? That the way we eat should change a little with the changing weather. So, and a lot of this is intuitive, right? We may feel like we want to eat more hot food, more cooked food, um, maybe avoiding salads and raw things, raw vegetables and such. It doesn't mean you'll never eat them, but if that was what you ate all summer, you might want to slow down on that a little in the winter and explore what you can do with the cooked foods, cooked vegetables and such. Um, they're easier to digest. Now, in Ayurveda, they don't talk about eating salads that much. And um, I often wonder if it's because, it came from a tropical country where um, eating raw foods is, sometimes hazardous because of bacteria and things like that. Um, so cooked food is the norm and much safer sort of choice. But I mean, we know this from regular nutrition as well that cooked food is frequently better digested, better assimilated to the body than a raw food is. Um, there are people that would dispute that, but I would I would point to several thousand years of experience in the Ayurvedic tradition. Um, so cooked foods, warming foods. Um, this is a dry time, dry and cold. So the seasons in the Ayurvedic, you know, universe have um, properties. So um, the winter is airy, like breezy and cold. So it's dry and cold. Um, spring is cold and wet, right? So it's a water and a um, like a lacking of heat. Even though it is getting warmer, it is cold. I mean, we all know that sometimes the spring is almost the coldest of all. Um, and then summer is, um, well, I mean, it's kind of broken down. Sometimes it's humid and hot, but it's always hot, right? It's definitely a heat, but um, there can be some variety depending on where you live, right? So I would say, Delaware, clearly we are sort of water and heat. We're steaming here in Delaware, whereas maybe Arizona, we would be sort of dry and heat. So there's some variation depending on like where you live and what your um, and there's some correlation with you as a what your body sort of composition is. So just as uh, the seasons and the temperature and the environment are made up of these elements, so are we. Um, so someone who has a lot of water, so kapha, kapha temperament has a lot of water in it. They don't do well in a wet environment. Spring is hard on kapha, pitta kapha. Um, and so yeah, humidity, don't like it. So if you don't like humidity and the damp weather is not great for you, you may have a bit of that water in you. Um, doesn't mean I'm going to move to Arizona, but it's something to be aware of. And again, we are trying to counteract those things. So if you have a lot of water, you might want to avoid a lot of like the watery foods, things like cucumbers and things that bring a lot of extra water into your body. You don't necessarily need that. Um, but say you have a lot of pitta, which is heat element. Um, People that are very intense, people that are very driven, they've got a lot of that heat. People who are angry, people who uh, that's um, that's that pitta fire coming up, and they do well with a lot of like watery things, cooling things, sweet things, things that kind of counteract that. Um, so it doesn't mean you can't ever have that, right? But know that you know if you have a lot of water or heat in the body, if you're eating things that stimulate that, it's going to bring it out more, right? So pitta people who are eating a lot of hot foods, um, by not temperature, but um, spice level, like heat, um, they will, they may experience side effects of that, right? So side effect of that would be like indigestion and heartburn, right? Burning sensations in the body, um, that you can abate by eating, the opposite, to try to cool that down. Um, so there's a whole lot that you can know about that. Um, but knowing, that we all have this sort of inherent constitution in the body that we want to try to maintain and um, kind of uh, sort of counteract, or at least keep it in a balance as well as you can. Um, and then we all are affected by the weather and the time of year. So that also is another sort of layer on top of it. So um, if you are, say, Kaphic, and you carry a lot of water in the body um, in a dry season, so maybe a hot and dry time, and we of course in our climate control we change things a little. So if you are in a constantly uh, air conditioned place, it could be cold and kind of dry depending on how much time you're spending in air conditioned areas. Um, the same thing with uh, heating in the house, right? So we have radiator heat, which is very, very drying. And so the humidity level is super low, but it's also hot. So we almost, in some times, in some places, you could be kind of working almost a summer temperature, um, a summer environment. So you got to be aware of what your personal environment is as well. Um, And then on top of that, right, the last thing to sort of think about is where are you in the stage of life? That affects it too. So when you're a child, so Kapha is about growth and kind of building, right? Building. Um, so that's a child's constitution. Children tend to be very Kaphic, even if they have um, other parts and other elements to their dosha, they're going to be Kaphic as well because they're growing and they're in this stage. Um, then we move on to midlife is sort of this very pitta stage, and there's a layer on top of that. So if you get someone who is very pitta, very driven, very type A, in their midlife, that's when things really go boom, right? They may go through their their Kaphic young life fine, but they hit that mid stage where everything is on overdrive and things heat up. They start having a lot of health issues associated with that. Um, and they need to back off with some of that behavior, but also some of the foods that they may be choosing, right? So the contrary thing about that is that we crave the foods that do us the worst, right? And that doesn't really make sense. You'd think you'd be craving things um, that uh, would help you, and maybe body wise we are, but I think it's the mind, right? The mind wants to eat that spicy food, wants to you know keep going down that thing. um, Then we get into the next stage, which is sort of the end of the midlife, moving into the older years. We start moving into Vata, which is the last dosha. So, um, which is a much drier and lighter um, stage. So, Kapha people, as they move into older age, frequently they balance out a little bit, right? Because they're bringing more Kapha energy or more Vata energy into the Kapha that kind of equals it out. Pitta, same thing. They're kind of drying out a little bit. People that are Vata, though, moving into, and Vata people, are tend to be kind of light and small. They are frequently have issues with anxiety, with feeling grounded. They're very kind of tense, maybe nervous. They are very high energy, but in kind of an undirected way, right? Pitta is very directed, but Vata is kind of floating around. People very into spirituality, very in their heads. That's a very kind of Vatic property. Um, so you can see maybe how, as you get older, you are more, we're a little less physical, maybe a little more in the head, more interested in spirituality, getting, thinking sort of higher things, maybe. Um, but you could see how someone who is that through their whole life, as they get older, it may really take off. And they may have a lot of issues with, again, health issues related to this. So, really dry skin. Um, uh, there's a indigestion, like a constipation, where everything is just very dry and nothing's moving in the body. Um, so, or the other, you could get also, um, like really fast digestion. So, again, balancing that out. Kapha needs less dry things, more um, things with some oil, right? Eating foods with oil, rubbing oil on the body. All of these things can help Vata. And I notice, certainly as I'm aging, my skin is all of a sudden like I feel a little bit dry. I remember like as a young woman and things, people talking about lotion. Put on lotion. I never put on any lotion. I never need any lotion. Forget that. Now I'm like, I think, is this what it looks like when you need lotion? I think maybe I need lotion. So, yeah, managing some of these changes can be a little tricky. You can, if you've never experienced anxiety or worry, as you age, right? It's a result, right, of this stage of life. We are moving into a Vatic direction. So you can be surprised. You may have some feelings of anxiety or little panic attacks that you never had before, and you're like, "Oh my God, what's happening?" Well, this is the Vatic thing. We need to work on being more grounded, work on getting back to that grounded place. So, yeah, I mean, we could literally, and I'm not going to, but we could literally spend an entire class and more talking about this. But if you're interested, I'll put up, I don't know if I have, but I will put up some links to, I think I did put some up last year, but I'll look again and see if I have some more information about the Ayurvedic types. It's very interesting. I wouldn't take it, totally to heart because it's a little more complicated than what you read on the internet makes it seem. But it gives you some guidelines and see how it works for you. You may experiment and see uh, what helps you. So I find that a lot of times people want to do things to improve their health. They want to eat better. They want to try to get on a schedule that works for them, sleep wise, and all these different things. But you don't know where to start. And there is so much information out there for you that it's overwhelming. Um, you don't know which one might work for you. What I like about Ayurveda is it gives you some clues, right? So you can look and say, okay, well, this sounds a lot like my body type, my mental state, where I am in the seasons, where I am in the stages of life. Let's try it. We'll try doing this, this, and this. 3 things maybe. See if it helps. If it does, great. Then maybe do a few more. If it doesn't, well then maybe you know interpret it a little incorrectly. So take a look again. All right, maybe I'm more like this. Try that. Um, the goal really is to just feel better, feel stronger and more healthy, and manage whatever kind of health issues you may have, um, and try to reduce health issues coming up down the line. Um, there isn't a one size fits all answer to anything, as we know, right? Everything in yoga is, you got to decide, you got to figure it out. So it's a lot of work in some ways, right? It's a lot of responsibility. You can't just turn that over to someone else. Um, you've got to figure it out for yourself. So that's a great opportunity for you, but it's also kind of it's a burden in a way, right? Wouldn't it be nice if someone would just tell you, do this, just do it, you'll be fine. But we'll figure it out for ourselves. All right, let's do some asana. So depending on your vatic or your dosha state, pitta, kapha, vata, some certain types of yoga, right, would be more appropriate, right? So in the winter, right, we might do a little more heating things that get you more warmed up, right? That makes sense. You'd want that. And in the summer, things that are a little more cooling. As you are younger, more active and more athletic type of yoga is appropriate. But as you get older, maybe something to wind you down a little bit. Maybe you're already pretty wound up. And then things to kind of move your mind, move you into that state of kind of balancing out the mind and body together, which is kind of the end goal, right? So sitting up, relax the shoulders. If you haven't already checked in to see how you're feeling today, take a few moments. Just scan the body. Notice anywhere that might need a little more attention or care today. And then chin down toward the chest. Start moving the head around. Make a big circle. One direction and then the other. Back to center. Lean forward and move around. One way and the other. Back up, arms wide. Take a deep breath and then hands to center. Inhale. Arms wide. Exhale. Inhale. And exhale. Interlace the fingers, lift the hands, gazing up, and then arms down by your side. Inhale, lift, and lower, lift, and lower. Once more, lifting up, and then right hand down by your side, reach across, switch, back up, lift the shoulders, roll back, and forward. Left hand on right knee, right arm behind, sit up tall and twist. Back to center. Inhale and twist. Let's walk the hands out in front. Back up and then squeeze the shoulders together, gaze up. And back to your seat. Tabletop. Sitting back on the heels, child's pose. Moving back up. Tabletop to downward dog. And step the feet up. Rising slowly. Standing tall. Breath in and out. Inhale, lift the arms. Exhale, fold. Inhale, flat back. Exhale, step the right foot back, drop your knee, arms overhead. Hands down to the mat, stepping back, downward dog. Inhale, forward to high plank, and then lower down. Inhale, lift. Lower. Lift. Lower. And lift. Then lower down. Moving back up. Tabletop to downward dog.
One more breath in, and then step the right foot up. Drop the left knee, arms overhead. And hands down to the mat. Step up with the back foot and fold forward. Inhale, flat back. Exhale, fold. Inhale, lift, arms high. And back to mountain. Breath in, breath out. Inhale, lift. And lower on the exhale. Inhale, flat back. Exhale, stepping back with the left. Arms overhead. Hands down to the mat. Stepping back to downward dog. Moving forward to high plank. Lower down. Inhale, lift. And lower. Lift. And lower. One more. And lower. Moving back up. Downward dog. One more breath. Then step that left foot up. Arms overhead. Hands down to the mat. Back foot steps up and fold. Inhale, flat back. Exhale, fold. Lifting. And hands back down by your side. Breath in and breath out. And let's work on some balance. So start with tree, standing on the left foot. Right can come in. You could have a kickstand or bring that foot up. Right knee rotates out to the side. Find that central balance. If you want to extend the arms, you can. Just see what you need today and breathe. And then switch sides. Standing on the right. So I was going to do a second sun salutation because tomorrow is solstice, but my shoulder said, do not do that. So I am not doing that. Maybe next week. We'll see. And then just set the foot down, bicycle legs. So coming from mountain, we're going to bring hands to center. So instead of stepping forward like we do sometimes, we're going to do just a little difference on that, right? So we're just going to lift up the right foot. So just lift that up as high as you can and stay balanced. If this is not great, you can bring hands to the hips, right? It's fine. That may help you stay more balanced. And then we're going to bring that right foot down. If you touch down here, that's fine. If you don't, that's fine also. We're just going to lean back with that foot. So we're lifting as we are extending forward. See how it works. Maybe good, maybe not so good. I don't know. And then we're going to come back, touch the foot, and lift up the right leg again. Bring it back down. Okay, how was that? Good? Maybe? I don't know. It's a workout for that left side. Let's try it on the right. So hands either together or at the hips. Lifting left leg. Doesn't have to be super high, just as high as you can. And then bring the foot down. If you have to touch, that's fine. Kind of give you some feedback about where that foot is. Lift and breathe. If you set down, that's fine. And then bring the foot back. And you're lifting out front again. And set the foot down. Bicycle out the legs. Alrighty. Let's come down to a seat. Soles of the feet together. Knees apart. Take a deep breath. And fold. Coming back up, let's bring this left knee pointing out toward the front. Right leg on top. Take a deep breath. Fold forward. Back up. Move everything around. So now right leg is under, left leg on top. Take a breath and fold. Both legs out in front. Lift the arms, fold forward. And then back up. Let's point and flex the feet. Rotate through the ankles. One way and the other. And then let's just bring the feet a little wide. So maybe like the width of the mat. Holding forward. Back up, bring the feet together, and then bend the right knee. We're going to bring it in close to the thigh. Take a deep breath. And then holding forward, breathe. Come on back up. We're going to leave the right leg here. Bend the left knee and bring that foot back by your side. Okay. Then we're going to bring the right hand behind you, left hand on the right knee. Sit up tall and take a twist. Back to center, and let's extend everything back out in front. This time, left knee bends. We're going to bring that foot in close to the thigh. Take a deep breath and fold forward. Back up. And then keeping this left leg where it is. Bend the right knee. And then right hand on left knee, left arm behind you. Sitting up tall, taking a twist. back to center. Both legs out in front. One more fold. Deep breath in. Fold forward. And back up. And the knees, soles of the feet to the mat. Lower down or rock back. Take a moment or two here. And bringing the right ankle on top of left knee. We can stay here and press that knee away from the body. We're bringing that left thigh in towards the chest. Breathe. And set the foot down. Switch your sides. Doing whatever you did on one side, then on the other. And both feet back to the mat. Let's bump the knees together and walk the feet to the outer edges of the mat. And then let's do a little supported bridge. So bringing a block under, find a place where things feel steady. Lifting up, remove the block, rest back down, soles of the feet together, knees apart. And you can move from here into Shavasana, either just staying where you are or extending the legs. Whatever helps, whatever feels the most natural to you today. Focusing on the breath. So, in all things, we want moderation, right? We want um, to be able to live with our choices and uh, our lifestyle, right? Whatever we've set up for ourselves. Um, so, don't worry too much about these things, right? Um, if you feel pretty good with, your body and your connection there, body mind, and you feel like you're doing well with the foods and such, don't worry about it. You may be already kind of intuitively doing the kind of things that you need for your dosha and to support yourself during the seasons. Many of us are connected enough to our body signals to get that right. Unfortunately, many of us are not as well. So if you do feel like you need a little support and a little help with that, Ayurveda is a great place to start. Um, but again, don't feel like you have to follow it 100%. The body is amazingly adaptable. I mean, if you can see people all over the globe, the different types of foods that they eat and traditionally have eaten based on what was available to them, certainly what you can get way up north is very different than what people eat in more tropical areas. Um, but again, traditionally they're following what is available to them, what is seasonal. Um, that's a pretty good bet, right? If nothing else, eating what is available now, or what is um, long storing over the winter, right? It gets a little more confusing because we aren't really growing things throughout the winter in most parts of the world. Well, in most parts of our world, I should say. Many parts of the world, they do grow things year round. We're at a bit of a disadvantage in more, you know, winter type climates. Um, so, but the clue there is long storing, right? So the things that come out of the garden last, and the things that keep over the winter. So things like squash, potatoes, apples, right? Things that we have traditionally stored to eat throughout the winter. Those are probably your best bets.
When you're ready, then to move a little, you can make your way up to a seat or stay on the mat if you want that for your meditation. You can do that too. Hands together, breath in and breath out. Thank you for giving your time to yoga today, to making time for it, and for giving it a place in your life. Um, I hope you have a lovely Saturday and uh, a nice solstice tomorrow. Um, and yeah, I'll be back Monday. Namaste. Okay, let's get that 5 minutes of meditation before we decide not to. So, sitting comfortably, however you want to do it, eyes closed, comfortable breath, not trying to control the breath at all. Finding peaceful awareness. Okay, coming back. um, Back to everyday life. So, some yoga and some meditation. You are set for a good Saturday, I hope, and a nice Sunday. I'm starting to feel a little panicky about things that I need to get done before Christmas, and that those thoughts kept creeping in during my meditation. So I'm trying to let them go. I'm going to make a list and check it 12,000 times to make sure that I have everything on it. But yeah, if you're starting to feel anxious, remember that breathing that we've been doing, the four inhale, 8 exhale, take some time, do a little breathing, make a list, and get that out of your head and onto some paper, and it will, and you don't have to carry it around with you. Or on the computer, that would be even better. All right, I'll be back Monday. Enjoy your weekend.